There are forces which control our actions and our feelings.
Yes?
Valentina?
I'm waiting for you, Valentina. Valentina. My name is Baba Yaga.
Hollywood star Carol Baker made a string of genre films in Europe between the end of the 1960s and mid-1970s before returning to the States. Her several murder mysteries for prolific director Umberto Lenzi proved especially popular with the audiences, and in 1972 Baker went on to appear as the villain for director Corrado Farina. Right from the opening seconds, Baba Yaga sweeps you up into a vortex of sensation. Stark black and white prints juxtaposed with saturated filmic images of motorbikes and cars tearing through the smog of Milan. Food for thought and food for the senses are equally abundant in the amazingly edited opening credits sequence. From the snippets of desultory conversation, we can grasp that the frame of reference here is very much 1968 and its intellectual baggage. A highly visionary film, Baba Yaga extols the pleasures of intellectual and hedonistic life in the booming Milan of the early 1970s.
Well, look, your only costs are your Indian ink, and you can get that cheap enough. But try filming a motion picture, and then you'll really see what heavy costs are.
Look at Godard. That guy makes a good example. He proved that it isn't necessary, I know.
Godard is Godard. What do you think about it, Valentina?
The film's dialogue is nearly irrelevant, a mix of outdated political slogans and comic book talk. Intricate, virtuoso camera work and a bouncy musical score do most of the heavy lifting here. The film is a joy for the eyes and the ears, even if its narrative might appear too choppy for some. Books, comics and other printed media feature prominently in many scenes, to the point of becoming fetish objects. The perennial clash of high and low culture, Godard versus Snoopy, a bunch of pretentious types eating fruit while talking crap and reading everything from The Village Voice to coffee table books. Valentina's photo shoot seems like a classy blueprint for many similar episodes in the Black Emanuel movies that would come along later in the decade. Valentina's photo camera has a ton of screen time and is most definitely fetishized.
Am I disturbing you?
No. We just finished. Come in.
Valentina yields readily, without hesitation.
There are many things that you'll want to know, my dear. But not now. Perhaps I'll be able to explain them to you later.
With a halting delivery and odd wording, Carol Baker does a sensational job of playing a non-native speaker in Baba Yaga.
Bye-bye, Valentina. See ya.
Bye, I'll see you tomorrow.
After showing her independent side at the party and holding her own against Arno, Valentina promptly embraces her submissive side when Carol Baker's Baba Yaga character literally invades her life.
But his eyes were those of a madman.
The cult of the devil has never ceased. It's strange, but you know, devil worshippers have always flourished. No one knows why. But sometimes evil explodes in unrestrained manifestations.
Following the opening credits depicting authentic corridor footage in disturbingly graphic detail, we see Carol Baker's character Martha at a train station somewhere in rural Spain. The image is soft with a gauzy quality to it. A train whistle breaks the silence. Anxiously, Martha watches on as a train thunders by. the nature of her inner struggle isn't clear yet. The first mystery, the mystery of character. One wishes Lenzi would have allowed for more similar quietly expressive moments throughout the rest of the film, which sadly settles into by-the-numbers murder mystery mode immediately after. The theme of fog and other atmospheric effects singles Knife of Ice out from among other Lenzi murder mysteries of the period. We soon learn that Martha's mute and suffers from emotional trauma. Her cousin Jenny's arrival has prompted Martha to overcome her anxiety and come to the train station to greet her in person. Behold the joys of Technicolor as an extra wearing magnificently garish canary yellow trousers hops off the train. Jenny Escott enters, played by Ida Gali, the true unsung queen of the 1970s giallo film.
Martha, dear. But why? You didn't have to come. Are you all right?
5 minutes in, the vermilion red leather suitcase makes its first appearance. The color red has a long history in the genre. Wearing tinted spectacles, Martha's driver makes his entrance.
I'm Marcus, Miss Jenny. I'm Miss Martha's driver.
As played by veteran actor Eduardo Fajardo, Marcus does some major heavy lifting in the red herring department in Knife of Ice. During the ride from the station, Jenny tells Martha of her success as a soloist in a touring choir.
As a soloist, I was popular, but our success was due to the hard work of the chorus also.
Their fancy car breaks down by the cemetery gates, bringing to mind a similar scene from Mario Bava's Lisa and the Devil.
Where did you stop?
The engine's overheating. I'd better turn it off before it explodes.
Marcus goes off to get help, leaving the two women alone in the car. The first scare comes when a stranger, of whom we glimpse only his wild, infected-looking eyes, peers in through the fogged-up window, scaring the women. Marcus returns soon after, having just missed the stranger. Before they resume their journey, on Jenny's request, Marcus removes his shades for a moment so that she can make sure that his eyes look absolutely ordinary.
May I put them on again now?
Yes.
The fog can play tricks with the imagination.
The car pulls up at the country house at dusk.
I'm Mrs. Britton, the housekeeper.
I know, you're irreplaceable.
You are too kind, miss. Please, come in.
Rosalie takes Jenny's vermilion red suitcases upstairs. We are next introduced to Uncle Ralph, the cardigan-wearing, silver-haired man who happens to be a specialist on the occult. Jenny presents Uncle Ralph with hardcover books on his favorite topics.
I have something for you.
Oh, really?
Zombies, voodoo, demons, and Afro-Cuban witches. There's enough here to rob you of a month's sleep.
You are kind. It's wonderful.
Various books will turn up a number of times throughout the film. A voice from long ago.
If my memory doesn't fail me, Martha was 13 years old that day.
Thank you, everyone. Now I'm going to recite to you a piece from Alice in Wonderland.
Martha's voice makes a return via recording. Night has fallen. Martha's changed into a spectacularly conservative dress and is serving cocktails. Father Martin, the local priest, is present at the scene. The setup is complete for what feels like a scene straight out of an Agatha Christie or a Leo Bruce. The room is plunged into darkness.
What happened?
The fuse must have blown.
Father Martin's bratty niece Christine is introduced, carrying a birthday cake. The forced, mechanical way they all clap after the brat's blown out the candles is so unintentionally eerie, as if this were a room full of body snatchers, trying to act natural. Umberto Lenzi's disinterested direction of actors occasionally results in brilliant side effects like that. After the guests leave, we see Jenny and Martha in their respective rooms, neither one's doing anything interesting. The plot's at a complete standstill. The vermilion suitcase reappears in her room, dressed in a violet nightgown, her most colorful outfit. Martha listens to the old tape recording of her voice reciting a poem on a reel-to-reel player. Another unintentionally creepy moment due to the weirdly fake quality of the child's dubbed voice in the English language version.
Fury said to a mouse, whom he met in the house, "Let us both go to trial. I will prosecute you."
At least in Martha's room, there are some beautifully arranged books in the background, giving the shot some much-needed punch. At long last, something's happening. Jenny leaves the safety of her bedroom and goes out into the dark corridor to investigate a strange noise. On her way downstairs, she passes Martha's room. We can hear the tape playing behind the door. Composer Marcello Giombini's heavenly music comes to the rescue, adding oodles of atmosphere to a plodding, static scene. Jenny sees a broken china vase. With the lights blinking ominously on and off, Jenny's growing uneasy. In one of the many illogical moments movie fans have grown to tolerate and even cherish, instead of doing the sensible things such as waking Martha or Ralph, Jenny proceeds on her own. She ends up in the garage. The car door is open. There is seemingly no one inside, when a gloved hand clutching a long knife enters the frame. The following morning, everyone's outside the house, everyone except Jenny. Mrs. Britton remarks that Jenny's nowhere to be seen. Martha suggests that she's still sleeping. The vicar comes by on his bicycle, bringing the brat with him. Christina has a kitten with her, a present from the local chemist. Marcus unlocks the garage door, but before he can look in, he's distracted by the arrival of the postman. Marcus hands the letter to Martha, who's been painting a mediocre landscape. As Christina goes after the kitten that's run off into the garage, we are treated to probably the most cinematic shot of the whole affair. The brat retrieves her kitten to discover its fur is stained with red. Martha examines the stain and hurries over to the garage. Giombini's fantastic score swells as Martha discovers Jenny's corpse tucked away underneath the car. I doubt if the audiences are likely to be taken with Martha's exaggerated shock at the discovery of her cousin's body, but it's a good closure to what's essentially one of the film's better executed scenes. Two dull cops come by the house to recap the scene we just witnessed and question everyone.
Let's begin again. Not one of you has seen or heard anything. Write that down, Mallow. According to the medical examiner, the murder took place between 11 and midnight.
True to his function as the chief red herring, Marcus gives all the wrong answers.
Only that
Go on.
I'm not sure that...
Go on, don't be afraid. You've nothing to lose.
Well, it's hard to say.
Well?
Then it's Dr. Laurent's turn to act all dodgy and give him plausible explanations as to why he's been loitering by the garage at the time of Jenny's murder. Marcus is quick to contradict Dr. Laurent's statement, keen to expose his affair with Mrs. Britton. Uncle Ralph is indignant when Inspector Duran dares throw suspicion on his household.
You really aren't thinking of suspecting anyone present, are you?
The cop promptly states that an outsider, a maniac, is the likeliest culprit, reassuring everyone that they're above reproach. We learn that another murder has been committed in the vicinity of the house mere hours before Jenny was killed. Thus, the legendary passing tramp cliché from the Golden Age murder mysteries resurfaces in an early 1970s Italian film. Jenny's funeral on a sunny day. Father Martin gets to don his vestments and recite a few lines in Latin. Lindsay shows off his workmanlike approach to techniscope framing with everyone in a clothesline formation and one token figure in the foreground to provide some sense of depth. The wild-eyed stranger pops into view again, frightening Martha. Dr. Laurent goes after him, but the stranger gets away, leaving behind a medallion, decorated with a goat's head.
Do you realize, Doctor, that Jenny Ascot and that poor student were both young and fair-haired? It's really as though, if my hypothesis is correct, whoever it is now has set his sights on Miss Colwell.
I only glimpsed him for a second, but his eyes were those of a madman, or more likely, a drug addict.
2 women are already dead, and I want to avoid Martha Colwell being the third.
Inspector Duran stubbornly continues up the garden path with his facile explanation of the lone maniac targeting blondes. Uncle Ralph identifies the goat symbol from Martha's sketch. He even makes a passing references to the Tate LaBianca murders.
It's strange. It's clearly a black magic symbol. You see, the goat, according to demoniacal tradition, represents Satan. Therefore, I'd say that it is a type of incarnation of the devil. I could be wrong, but I think that the man who lost that medallion is a devil worshipper, a wretched creature possessed by a perverse desire for blood.
Martha looks out the window to see the kitten on the lawn lifeless. Knowing Lentz's poor record when it comes to animal welfare, one is relieved to see the supposedly dead kitten breathe in the brief shot. It's a lot less fun to see the extra who plays the dead body by the railway tracks twitch and blink in her brief close-up. The movie picks up its pace after the 26-minute mark. The horrific corridor footage makes an unwelcome comeback, as Martha has a disturbing vision while going through the contents of Jenny's suitcase at the train station.
But, Miss Caldwell...
One of the best scenes features a disoriented Martha wandering in the improbable daytime fog, haunted by strangers' menacing footsteps. The main theme rendition for a clarinet is simply sublime, and Lentz's intrusive zooms ever present. Martha seeks refuge in the local church, only to bump into the brat.
Martha, hello! Did you come to see me? I was just writing about you and Kitty in my diary.
Again, Lentz's direction is far too vague for us to ever grasp whether we're seriously meant to suspect the brat at any point. After all, she may have hurt and killed her kitten. The vicar has earlier characterized her as trouble. Dr. Laurent at his patronizing best.
You've been very silly. Aren't you aware of the risks you're taking? Under no condition are you to leave the house. Well, come on, Martha. I'll take you home.
Reminding us that a violent Satanist is lurking in the fog, out to get pretty blondes. Alan Scott, a wooden actor, comes across as such a chauvinistic pig that one wishes for the Satanist to take him out. The brat has a surprise gift for Martha, a Snoopy medallion which would be worth a fortune today.
Promise that you'll always take him with you.
It's the first intrusion of popular culture into the universe of Knife of Ice, to be followed later by a cameo from that quintessential Jalo-esque cartoon character, Donald Duck. Outside the church, the fog has suddenly lifted. Dr. Laurent is about to share a salient point regarding the investigation with Martha, when Marcus appears.
You know, just a little thing that could change the entire course of the investigation.
Sorry I left you alone, but I went to buy cigarettes around the corner.
Laurent sends the glowering Marcus away and tells Martha that the garage door lock wasn't forced, meaning someone must have opened the door from the inside. They get to the police station to find that Inspector Duran is out, blithely pursuing his pet theory. Bizarrely, Laurent neglects to leave him a message.
If it's something urgent, you can always tell me. That's what I'm here for.
No, nothing urgent. I'll telephone him tomorrow morning.
Uncle Ralph has been summoned to the crime scene to advise the cops in matters of the occult. Inspector Duran gladly hears him out as Ralph flaunts his expertise.
I'd say they had a black nurse here. Here's the proof, the black wafer.
The footprints indicate only one person.
The stranger that spied on my niece at the cemetery?
Exactly. I had you come here to give your opinion. It's very important considering your knowledge in this field. What relation can the two separate crimes possibly have?
Well, usually the Satanists kill women. You see, Inspector, women are symbolically tied to the mother of Christ. Therefore, if they don't succumb to Satan, they come to be considered as vile beings, the ideal victims for perverse sacrifices.
I get it. If he's not to be regarded as a sex maniac, it means he's something worse.
Inspector?
Bearing in mind Uncle Ralph's more than casual interest in the occult, his disgust at seeing the satanic paraphernalia comes as a bit of a surprise. Once they found a syringe of morphine, Inspector Duran's pretty much made up his mind. An outsider and a drug addict equals murderer, and Uncle Ralph appears to second him. Time for another awkward after-dinner scene. Martha wears the Snoopy necklace given to her by the brat. Dr. Laurent is absent. Ralph informs Martha that the wild-eyed stranger has evaded the police for the second time. Ralph theorizes that Jenny herself must have let the murderer in by opening the garage door for him.
Therefore, we'll have to suppose that someone, maybe even Jenny, opened the door from inside.
Hello.
Mrs. Britton goes to answer the phone, with just ominous heavy breathing at the other end. Before Ralph's off to bed, he orders Mrs. Britton to lock up all the doors and windows. Marcus gives Mrs. Britton a nasty shock by popping up out of the garage door to announce the car's broken again.
Car's broken down.
And you tell me this at this hour?
It's the carburetor. I wasn't aware of it until a few minutes ago.
We are treated to another sublime piece by the composer Giombini as Mrs. Britton traverses the village on her bicycle to get Ralph some fresh medicine. Lenz is clearly taken by the beauty of the Spanish locations, delivering some of the finest visuals in an otherwise fairly plain film. At the village chemist's, Mrs. Britton runs into the mayor, who's keen to hear the latest gossip surrounding the murder in their household. On the ride back to the house, Mrs. Britton catches sight of the goat symbol, freshly painted on the trunk of a pine tree. She makes the unwise decision to stop and investigate. That night, Dr. Laurent pulls up by the country house in his car. He claims to have just come back from France. Once inside the house, Ralph and Martha both spot an obvious bloodstain on Dr. Laurent's trousers.
What have you got on your trousers, Doctor? It's blood.
A whole crowd of cops and their dogs spend ages combing through the woods at night in futile search of Satanists who Inspector Duran insists are to blame. Uncle Ralph and Dr. Laurent intend to send Martha away to a safer place. No one has asked her for her opinion in another blatant display of male chauvinism. Together with A Great Silence and Il Se Profita, Knife of Ice is part of a small batch of 1970s European films to feature the main character who has little or no spoken lines. A good murder mystery is unafraid of being contrived and keen to embrace the genre clichés. A good murder mystery also knows whether its cop figure is a bumbling idiot in the Inspector Lestrade tradition, say Inspector Silvestri in Mario Bava's Blood and Black Lace, an information dispenser for the amateur sleuth, Commissario Spimi in Dario Argento's Cat o' Nine Tails, or the Deus Ex Machina, chiefly there to gun down the culprit at the end. Death Walks at Midnight, and countless others. Lenz's in different direction leaves his car in Knife of Ice somewhat undefined. He has a lot of screen time, but what is he exactly? Lenzi neglects to explore the more daring scenarios, content to splash about in the shallow end of the genre pool with mediocre results. Further exploring the satanic angle would have certainly made Knife of Ice more enjoyable for the 21st century viewer, who is unlikely to be familiar with the traditional murder mystery formula. Thankfully, there is Sergio Martino's All the Colors of the Dark for those who want more satanic rituals with their murder mysteries.
You have crossed every barrier to reality. You are beyond its limits. And you'll never see it again. They're coming to get you.
Is Knife of Ice a forgotten gem of European cult cinema? Hardly. For those looking for an alternative to the major classics from Argento, Fulci, it may prove certainly lovable enough. A word of warning to the sensitive viewer: watch out for the nasty corrido footage that's totally irrelevant to the story and is repeated unnecessarily during the pointless flashbacks. While neither Lenzi nor the cast of genre stalwarts are at the top of their game here. The real bum note is Alan Scott as Dr. Laurent, presumably meant to be the red herring, but it just doesn't register as anything. Knife of Ice is a deliberately anemic murder mystery with Lenzi going for class and alienating a big section of his potential viewership. None of the characters get to use their intelligence much at any point through the contrived narrative. There aren't really many clues for the viewer to work with either. So it's a murder mystery that's got neither the sleaze or the outrageous fashions for the casual giallo viewer, nor a truly well-plotted central mystery for those who actually enjoy the intricacies of plot mechanics. Cinematography and editing are solid, even if Lenzi's routine visual approach lacks variety. His visual rendition of Baker's hallucinatory flashbacks is surprisingly pedestrian and quickly grows tiresome. The cast stinks, as does the dialogue. Lenzi leaves Carroll Baker with no one to act with. The highlights include the unusual Spanish locations and Giambini's heavenly score, plus additional coziness factor from seeing so many familiar faces from other gialli of the period. If all Italian gialli were this prim, the genre wouldn't have enjoyed the resurrection it does in the 21st century. Strangely devoid of atmosphere or any genuine thrills, and with some really poor writing, Knife of Ice will underwhelm all but the most dedicated genre fans. In the absence of any solid thrills of either visceral or intellectual nature, it's all too easy to dwell on the more dated and unappealing qualities of the picture, such as its sexist attitudes and animal cruelty.